Hello there, and welcome to my Arty Corner here on YouTube. My name is Angela Porter, and amongst other things, I'm best known for my adult colouring books as an artist. I also used to be a science teacher, and I taught mainly children with special needs. But that love of encouraging people and building up your confidence and helping you to grow and develop in skills and understanding of yourself as much as anything else is part of the reason for this YouTube channel more than anything. So here I do my best to show you how I use patterns and motifs and how I draw things and give you ideas of how you can put things together, explain my thought process, which is my thought process. It doesn't mean it's the only correct one. So my belief is you have to find what's right for you. And sometimes it takes looking at lots of different people to work that one out and to have the confidence to say, this is me. And yesterday, in yesterday's video, the last video I did this piece of art, and I'll forever be grateful to chunkier as he is on YouTube for asking me to do this, because I'd forgotten how much I love doing art like this. Purely abstract, just patterns, just flowy, very organic and so on. I can get very bogged down in things that are a lot more structured and so on. So before I go any further, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed to my channel, especially to new subscribers who haven't been thanked before. I'm so grateful. It shows I'm doing something that is engaging with you, so thank you very much. And thank you also for all the thumbs up for videos that give me that clue that, yeah, this is good, or this is something you enjoy. Can you also please, I've had a comment that my volume isn't very high. It always sounds fine to me when I check back on the video, but could you just let me know in case that it's not coming across that way, and then I can have a look back and see what's going on, or if there's anything I need to do to adjust it. Although yesterday's video and perhaps the day before, I may have been quite quiet, as I may be today, because my mood's all over the place at the moment. As I'm recovering from a period of stress, which, while lovely, still affects my body in the way any kind of stress does, and my emotions. So it takes me a few days to come back and ground, as it were, come back to where I need to be. So I'm in the process, and art is very much part of that process. So thank you very much if you could do that. Okie doke, so this is the one I did in the video yesterday. I haven't done any more to it. It's going to sit in my box of projects in the hope that I may do something more to it. But I had a black journal arrive yesterday, black dot grid journal, and I remembered I had some black paper. And I just thought I'd like to do this in reverse with white on black, except that I dug out some Jelly Roll Moonlight pens as well up here, which are coloured gel pens, opaque. They apparently will glow under ultraviolet light, but I don't have an ultraviolet light. I thought I did, but I can't seem to find it, so that would be quite fun and cool. But I thought I'd have a go at this, and I love working on black. I really do. So that was something that I was reminded of as well, and to go forward. Down here I used a white Signo gel pen, and it's not as white and opaque as the Sakura. I'm not a big fan of gel pens generally because of the blotchiness of the ink. That might be error operator, but you know, who knows? So what I thought I'd do today, you can see here I've got a big piece of paper here. And I do mean big, well, big relative to the others. It's A4 because it's that time of the week where I need to start work on the colouring page for the Facebook group, Angela Porter's Colouring Book Fans. Most of the time I've done a template a month since the group was formed. I don't know how many years ago, but now, well, since the beginning of the pandemic, I've been doing it weekly, mostly. I occasionally have to take a break. But what I thought I'd do, excuse any shadows coming across because I'm putting my mug on the left-hand side, and the left-hand side of my desk is where my window is. What I thought I'd do is some of these swirly, flowy patterns. Hang on, I'll be back. Honestly, I'm looking for something. I need a slightly thicker pen because I'm drawing bigger. So 03, a tip for you. If I draw in 03, my drawings will be very fine and detailed because I tend to work to the thickness of the nib that I'm drawing with. So I have just dug out an 08, which I will use. Excuse all the rattling and crashing in my pencil case. So if I want to draw bigger and bolder, then I tend to use a thicker nib than if I'm drawing fine and detailed or on smaller paper, unless I want big and bold on smaller pieces of paper. I think you get the idea. But I really enjoyed drawing these swirly, flowy, wavy patterns yesterday. So I thought I'd do some today as a colouring page. Now today my pencil lines are very much advisory. I'm going to clip or crop the finished image back once I've done, because I have a feeling I'm going to end up overspilling my lines. And because this will be a colouring page, there won't be quite as much detail or fine lines as there are in the other ones, but I will still get detail in here because I think I know how much or how little detail I can get away with in places. So it's about making sure that I draw things nice and big, that people can add colour to them. And I am going to fill in the tinier spaces with black, because I like the contrast that gives. But I also know that it will take away that stress of, oh my gosh, I can't fill that tiny gap in for people. So I'm quite happy to do this. Just give this all a little bit of this could be interesting when I come to crop this. We'll see, perhaps I'll just leave wobbly edges and tidy up where I can. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's maybe a lesson for me to start with drawing the border in pen. Actually, I think I might do that now. So excuse me while I do that a moment, because there'll be a lot of paper turning and not a lot to see going on, but I think that will help me hugely in the end. Now the paper I'm working on today is some marker paper. It's very white, it's very smooth, and it's rather lovely to work on. The pen glides beautifully on it. I don't wreck the tips of my pens quite as much when I draw on this. The downside is it does take a wee while longer for pens to dry, because the paper's designed for ink not to settle in but to sit on the top, so it's easier to blend alcohol markers. It's not suitable for water-soluble media. It's so thin. It's designed to be thin as well, because it's that translucency of light that you need with marker pens for their colours to really shine. And I keep forgetting I've got this that I can use in my stash. This particular one is the Canson XL brand, which I actually like out of all of them. Although I've got some Ohuhu marker paper, which is great. It's quite thick. But this stuff is just brilliant for lots of reasons. So I keep forgetting about things like this. I think it just depends what I'm going to be doing, or what kinds of paper I want to use. So it's always good, if you can afford it, to experiment with different kinds of paper. And perhaps somewhere out there may be like sample packs that people have put together to try, for you to try. I don't know. It'd be great if they would, wouldn't they? I don't know if I could do something like that, mind. My mind ticks to it now. But I reckon that the cost of packing, post and packing from the United Kingdom would probably outweigh any benefits that you'd get. So here I've just got this basic wave shape, and I am going to put a wave on the top that is essentially going to connect with this and create these lovely kinds of almost leafy shapes there you get with these little points in the corners, which again I'm just going to fill these in with some rounding, as they call it in Zentangle. And then I've got these beautiful, beautiful shapes that I can do things with. And again, it's a case of looking at how I can fill arcs and arches in, just to create these spaces where then I can fill them with patterns. Okay, so here I am going to pop in some crescent moon style. Tiny little gap here, so I'm going to fill that in. It makes life easier for me and everybody else. Now, when I add colour to this, I'm definitely going to do it monochrome. I can tell you that now before I even start. Or at least using analogous colours of blues, blue-greens, and perhaps some bluey violets as well. Because I think that would just bring out that idea of sea very much. And I am aware my voice is becoming quite quiet as I'm working, so this is all a lot of fun. With this one, I'm going to first aura this, and I'm going to do the same with the bottom, like so. And then I think I will create another version of that shape inside. And this one, I am going to pop in some more perks. So we're going to get this filled with like seeds here. And I'm going to do something to these, the bigger ones of these at least, that will make it a little bit different compared to these ones down here. But first I am going to just fill these little bits in, because that's what I do. It's always lovely when I start to draw, even though my mood is a bit glum today. And it's okay, don't panic, I won't be stuck in it. I experience this quite often, especially when I've been around people and the stress involved. And I know from past experience it will pass. It is just emotional weather. It's just taking its own sweet time to shift itself. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm using an 03 pen here, and I'm going to draw the start of a spiral, like that. Then I'm going to round the end, come round and come back a little bit. So I'm essentially drawing almost a spiral back on itself. And I can change the direction so they'll fit in nicely. Or just for a change, because you can. Slightly different place. The smaller ones will be a little bit more challenging to pop these in. So it may be that for these tiniest ones I just put in a suggestion that this is there just by drawing it in as a line like that. And I am also going to add some weighting to the inner curve. As part of the pattern, it's not about light and shadow. I'm doing this just to help it perhaps give a little bit of dimension, perhaps a little bit around the bottom as well, just to pick that up a little bit. Like so. So that's different to here. And with these ones, I do feel the need to pop something in here. And I think I'm going to just pop some circles at the top where I can. And then where they get really small, I'm just going to pop in a fully closed circle just to keep that the same. So this is much bigger, much bolder than yesterday. So if I bring yesterday's in, you can see how much more detail there is there. But I am going to, but you can also see how much bigger these are. I mean, these have got to be double the size of those, haven't they? More than double, perhaps. But that's not going to stop me from adding some little details, because I quite like things like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gaps. Like so. And then here I am going to just split this one a little bit, just to give that thinner border. That is a bit challenging, I think, to add colour to, but it's doable because I'm not going to add any pattern to that one. So that works quite nicely, I think. Perhaps so I am making these odd numbers, the gaps between the lines, as it were, the little boxes that I create, because then it makes alternating patterns, colours, a lot easier, I think. So in this section, again, I'm just going to aura those, but here I just think I'm going to do some simple lines in here, like so, just to complete that. I'm also not going to use too much in the way of line weighting because it could become quite overwhelming in terms of black. So I've got another spiral going on here, and I am going to sort of aura this. It's not exactly where I wanted the line to go, but like with everything Zentangle, we do tend to, or Zentangle inspired, because this is more of an inspired Zentangle, I guess. I don't know. You work with things as they end up, because it can be quite difficult sometimes. I find it quite difficult to control my pen for that distance while I'm working on paper. On the screen it's different. I tend to use my arm and elbow more, you know, rather than my wrist and resting on things. So just do that there. And then I am going to aura this, but it's a tethered aura where the ends join back to the line, so I'm not auraing it all the way round. This just helps to bring some added texture and pattern into this shape. So that'll make it interesting to add some colour to, for sure, and to bring that out. Okay then, so now I want to use this as the top for the wave, as it were, the wave shape that fits in here. So I'm just putting some lines here as if they're going up and over. And then I'm going to do the same just to connect that here. I've made a little mess there, but that's okay. We can fudge it a bit and make it look like it's deliberate. Failing that, if I make a real mess of it, I can clean it up when I scan it in and add some colour digitally. Probably digitally. Okay, so I've got rather a large gap up here, and I think what I'm going to do is just add some perks in. And there we are. That just takes some of this away, doesn't it? The clumsiness up there. I think I'll roll them around all the way to the other side now. It's quite arbitrary where I chose to put the one that's at the top, that everything else is sort of stacked underneath. But it all works. That's a small space, so I'm going to fill that in. Like so. All these little gaps, the interstices. My mouth doesn't want to work yet this morning. Barely had a mug of tea, that's what it is. Need more tea. And then I'm going to aura over this, but I think I might take this one around and down and up there. So I'm enclosing this little section in its own little part of wave. And then for this, because I want an aura to separate these from whatever I do with these, then I've created these little triangles, and I'm going to use just a couple of lines inside them to split those up that little bit, which I think is quite nice. Nice way of doing that. Okay. And here, I also think here I may just put some of these lines that tether these various sections together. And it's quite a long section here. And so I think it's quite nice to split it into smaller sections, because I know that when it comes to adding colour, if I'm using traditional media, then when I've got a large area to fill with colour, it frustrates the heck out of me, because it just never looks even, because I don't have those skills, basically. It's not my superpower when it comes to art and drawing. So here I've created like little boxes with circles in. So I'll show you that one again, because I'm going to put a couple over here. So I've put some circles separated by distance. Then I've sort of given them almost a straight line here, but I am bending the lines so they blend into the edge, as it were. And it looks almost like I've created little boxes with circles in, which is essentially what I have done. Okay, so Now I do want to do something here to create more of a feeling that we've got a wave cresting, the crest of a wave here. So that works quite nicely, apart from the fact I missed. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to start by filling the corners in there. But I think I'm going to do version of Shattuck, which is a zigzag pattern like this. I've got enough space here for this one. I will fill that one in black, and I am going to put little bits of black at the base of these. This one I will make all black, and that one I think I'll make all black. But you can still see those patterns forming there. And I quite like this as a way of filling that in. It's a little bit different. And I am going to put a narrower border around it and a narrower one round this one, just to create these spaces. I'm getting a lot of very lumpy bumpiness here, ain't I? So let's have a look. What can we do here? Over this side, I'm going to turn my book this way just to make it easier for me to draw it. I'm moving it along so it's in frame, hopefully. I don't know if you noticed how I drew this. I drew round this way, tried to keep this bottom line here, or this line to the left, close to the line I started at, and then left a bigger gap on this side, so it gives a kind of dimension to this in its own sweet little way, which I actually really find quite lovely to do. I like that, the way that it feels that things are bent or not quite what they appear to be. And I am going to put some auras around here as if this is a lot bigger than it seems. There's a lot more swirling going on, if you will. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out, but we will find out very soon, I'm sure. Put that there. Because again, this is one where I'm going to need, hopefully, to pretend that this is the top of a wave, and I'm going to take this down there, and I think I'm going to mirror that there on this side, like so. And then I've got this section here, and I am going to fill this again. These are so what's the word? Adaptable? It's not quite what I'm looking for. Compliant isn't the word. But they just will fit in to any place you like. So, and I quite like having them because it just creates... I just love the kind of coherence that these little pearls are giving to the pattern. So here I'm going to add this kind of shape, and I am going to play with almost like waves within waves here, I suppose, in a way. So I've got this little section there, and I'm going to end up with a similar section on this side here. And I am going to just pop an aura right the way around this, because that will help to keep these lines and these, all of these little patterns in here all together. I'm just going back and adding some rounding, some extra ink in the corners here just to fill them in that little bit. This is something that also cues you into where the lines finish and end. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to fill this with a crescent moon. So it does end up looking like these are just peeking out a little bit, doesn't it? Like little orbs peeking out from the layer beneath. And I quite like that. They're a little cheeky. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on this side, but I'm going to have them going in the opposite direction. So like so. I'm tempted to fill actually there and there. That would work perfectly actually. So I am going to fill this particular section with these half pearls going in this direction. And then this misses section, then the next one I'm going to fill them going in this direction, and they may not match up with the outside one, and that's fine because they are different. Ooh, they are almost matching up underneath in places, but that was not my intent, to create sort of like circles underneath. But if I thought about it, I would have. If I'd realised that was going to happen, I would have deliberately tried to get these to match on either side of this line. And of course, if I remember, when I scan in and start to clean up digitally, then I may adjust this accordingly for that express reason. Okay, so let's fill these in. Or I may just leave them as they are, because I quite like the juxtaposition of different ways that these semicircles kind of connect. Is juxtaposition the right word? The variation, perhaps. Just as it, makes you think, have we got pearls under there or not? So that's quite fun. I like that. Now I've got a very, very, very awkward shape here. And I think that what I'm going to do... Do you remember that variation of Diva Dance? If you've seen my earlier videos, I think it was sometime last week. It was when Project Pack 18 Day 1 was. It was the next day or the day after, I can't remember. Where I took this variation, or this pattern that they'd used inside a spiral based on square, and used it as a filling kind of pattern. And I think this could work quite nicely here, because we're getting wavy shapes, but we're also getting these orbs in, and I'm trying not to draw complete orbs. It's almost like I still want them tucked in. underneath these layers. So I'll put one there, and I'm going to pop one here, I think. So that one isn't quite the same shape, so I'll adjust that slightly. But I want to do 3 or 4 lines before I add any more. I just think this looks almost like pearls in, you know, layers of, or the, you know, oyster shells that have these, but where you can see almost like pearl-like shapes growing out of them. So I think that would be quite a nice thing to use here to try to get this into a shape that's more like, so I'm going to use a pencil just to give myself that guide here of how I want this to end up more than anything else. I don't know if I'll manage it. Time will tell. And it may be that now is where I start to allow lines to just... You see how I've got this one to connect there, and this one will too. And then I've got something here that is more or less like the shape that I want at the top. I could create this a bit like Diva Dance, so I can pop perhaps some black in these sections just to add some weight, as it were. Now, if I thought to do this first, I would have definitely got to a smoother shape here, I think, but it'll be fine. So you can see that when I add these little bits, I am making the line less dipped, as it were, and a much smoother form. Oh, I'm having real trouble. There, I'm filling that one in so it follows the pencil line I drew. And I'm okay with having large blobs of black on this. Perhaps I can smooth all of this off, and then I can add the line in there. So that gives yet another kind of feel to this. Now I'm going to leave this here with you because I've got a lot of this page left to do, and I'd like to focus on getting that done. So I hope this has given you some more ideas or a bigger insight into how things like this work. As I say, it's a colouring page, so I'll publish it tomorrow, but I'll show you, I may give a sneak peek of more of what I've done later on today. So we'll see what happens. So until I see you again, look after yourselves, take care, and find time to be creative. Bye-bye for now. Bye.